Ciao. Hi. Hola, guys. I'm just going to check I'm live on Facebook as well. Can't book. I'll say it is Friday the 13th after all, but thought Facebook might let me down again. But anyway, this is a rather controversial video on that note because as it is a Friday the 13th and it's the month of, I was going to say month of Halloween. It's not Halloween, it's the month of, let's say the month of love, like Valentine's Day. But I'm hoping to do the opposite tomorrow. But today I'm hoping to do something rather controversial, like reasons to not love God. So please forgive me, anyone out there. I hope God forgives me for this one, but well, for this list of videos. But I struggled to sleep last night. I don't know if it's because it's Friday the 13th or whatever. I kept trying to catnap my cat and put him in my room, but he kept trying to get out. But a little bit guilty to try and force him to stay in my room. Anyway, nice life around there. But yeah, this is a controversial one. But tomorrow I hope to do the opposite version. I find glasses really uncomfortable for some reason on the right side. It's really uncomfortable. I don't know why. Yeah, I'm very fidgety. I know. Anyway, these as ever are pointers number 1 to 10. I was going to say, I was trying to think. I hope I don't forget anything, but I'm taking a break from the black empowerment for a couple of days, I guess, to focus on. I was thinking because I had the idea for like reasons to love God on the 14th. I guess I'm thinking of a different type of love rather than romantic love, obviously. Just to clarify, because I'm thinking that normally Valentine's Day is seen as like romantic love, but I change it to because I'm a romantic. I change it to love as in like charitable love or that kind of thing. Probably sounds really wrong, but yeah, I remember a while back I wanted to talk about that type of thing, like not romantic love, but like positive love, like as in helping people and charitable stuff and all that kind of thing, and about love generally. But again, not a romantic type of love, but a different type of love. But I had an ear infection and I had all these plans I wanted to write and things I wanted to do, and then I had to go to hospital for about 3 or 4 days on Valentine's Day. So yeah, I guess it's probably not the luckiest day, but anyway, here goes. So number 1, I guess all the pain and suffering. I was saying potential reasons to not love God. I guess pain and suffering in life, including your own. Like so, individuals might have their own reasons. And I was going to say it's in point number 2, but I was in individuals might have their own reasons. So I'd love to know what reasons out there people say might have for not loving God. I guess like I've heard. I want to give every religion a fair shot. So whichever religion supports my writing, paperworks, and videos and things like the most. I would love to support the most, like talk about the most or whatever, maybe in the future. I talk about 1, 2, or 4, 1 or share and that kind of thing. But I was just thinking that's on that, but I might cover that a bit later. But yeah, each individual might have their own reasons. I hope I don't offend too many people out there, but just being honest. But I'd say, because I thought, as it's Friday the 13th, I'd do the negative version, but I'm going to do the positive version hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully that'll be quite positive. So obviously it'll be the opposite, it'll be like reasons to love God. But yeah, I'm not putting any one religion above another if I can help it. But I'm thinking like in Christianity they say you should thank God for everything, but I would think like I wouldn't thank God for things that are opposite to what I want. Like if I thank God for sunshine, I don't think I'd thank him for rain, him or her, or whatever. But I suppose you could say there's a purpose for each thing, but obviously I wouldn't thank God for something that I think is really negative. Like if I want to see people being happy, obviously I'm not going to thank God for things that make you sad. But moving on, number 2, I think like things like tough lessons, and that was an initial thought for point number 2, but also like I guess God gives free will, but like torture, torment, or negative things, people suffering, and that kind of thing. Yeah, torture, torment, and suffering, and tough lessons in life, potential reasons, I guess, not to love God. Number 3, obviously these are potential reasons, but I wish there was more freedom in life. Like I wish God gave more freedom, and that would make me love God more. So I guess if there were things that would make me love God more, then I guess the opposite is what makes me love God less, or whatever, or what makes me love God less, I guess, than I would do. So like lack of liberty, I guess, is one thing, unfortunately. So I think, like for instance, I wonder, it's it's so annoying. Like I think, why is it that everything that feels good and tastes good, things like that, are bad for you? That's really annoying. I think, and I suppose you could say things that are good for you, and that kind of thing are not very tasty or don't feel too nice. As ever, you can feel free to agree with me or disagree with me in the comments, either on Facebook and or YouTube. Preferably both, but I welcome your comments. Hopefully, it won't be too harsh, as I always say, but freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Um, but moving on, number four, um, I guess things like say, like it's quite scary to think about, like, but how uh, people being eternally damned or that kind of thing, and I guess people suffering. I mean, wars and things like wars and rumors of wars and things like that. I guess you can't really blame God for if he or she gives us free will. I guess I would hope God has nothing to do with wars and would rather us not go to war. But I guess it is human beings, so I don't blame God for that one. But yeah, like I think like things like hell, having to live forever, and talking about freedom as well, freedom from force. I think as well. Like if like to me, if someone, let's say, trigger warning. I probably should say that for this video generally, or for these videos generally, but a trigger warning, like if people want to end themselves, shall we say? I was thinking of saying the actual word, but it's all two words, but I don't know if I should say it. But if people want to commit suicide or whatever, I can't remember a term people often use, like, could say end themselves or unalive or whatever. If people unalive themselves, whatever term you want to use, um, if they wanted to do that and they wanted to not exist and God forces them to go to hell or whatever, to me that's like force to live forever. So I wish there was less force and more freedom. To me, freedom and force are the opposite. Like to me, freedom is doing whatever you want to do, actually, or not having to do anything you don't want to do without fear of reprisals or repercussions or whatever. I guess there's consequence. Like if you jump out a window, you're going to be injured, whether you want to or jump out or not. But in terms of like punishments or whatever, um, I wish there would be more choices in life. But I hope that makes sense. Number five, I would say I wish God would give us more choices, and I guess for me, like God not supporting like Italian football, Celtic, libertarianism, more freedoms, helping justice for those who are colonised, former colonies, and that kind of thing, and tackling poverty and that kind of thing. That makes me love God less, I guess, if I'm honest. But when I was thinking of, I think he's left Britain now, but a former MP here in Britain, George Galloway, um, and he's what we would call in Britain um, a Marmite character, I guess. Now, for those who don't know what Marmite means, I think those who are overseas or don't know much about British culture or whatever generally, or whatever, Marmite means something you either love or hate. So it's a spread that you put on bread, and it's quite strong. It has a strong taste, so some people like it tastes horrible, and other people really like it. They even use that in their advert, like you either love it or hate it. I think they came up with that term themselves. So George Galloway, I guess, is someone who's a Marmite character. Some people can't stand the guy, and some people can't. Some people probably do love him, I'm sure. So it's, I guess, anyone in the public eye is going to be like that, I guess. Probably some people can't get enough of him, but some people can't stand his guts. I guess I like him kind of because he's a Celtic fan, but I do think he's a bit annoying and a bit too much sometimes. Um, but yeah, I think he fled Britain for whatever reason. I think he was talking about freedom of speech or whatever, something like that. But yeah, he was talking about when Scotland had its own independence referendum, and he was on the side of remaining in Britain. George Galloway, being Scottish, um, I believe he's from Glasgow, probably from an Irish family background. That's why he's a Celtic fan or whatever. But he said, in order, people talked in the independence thing and saying they would be better off, and Scottish people would be better off if they were independent. But he said something about, if I remember correctly, he said, in order for some to be better off, others have got to be worse off. And he represented Bradford, and he goes, believe me, Bradford is one of the poorer areas, and some of the people I support are some of the poorest now. And he said, in order for some to be better off, others would have to be worse off. And I suppose that's an argument socialists or communists, socialists / communists, and I often lump those together. Some people say the goal of socialism is communism, apparently. So they sort of go hand in glove. Others say that communism is the extreme version of socialism or whatever. But they say capitalism, some have to succeed. For some to succeed, others have to lose out, whatever. Although I would argue probably in socialism or communism, especially the latter. Again, I suppose they go hand in glove, I guess. But probably a very few people at the top and most of the people at the bottom. But some people argue it doesn't really work, or it's not as fair as people think it would be, or whatever. Obviously, different people have different views on that. I've got to be careful what I say. But anyway, my point was that in order, again, I don't want to put one religion. I want to give all religions an equal shot. So whichever one supports my writings, videos, typing, plans, goals, my 5 courses and that kind of thing the most, that's the one I'd like to, I don't know what word I can use, follow, support, or whatever. But things put me off in religion, like submit to and things like that. But anyway, in order for Christianity, for instance, I was thinking that mainly to be true, it would mean that like narrow is the path, like most of the world would be condemned, which is a hard thing to think about. Like it's hard to sort of follow that. I guess it'd probably be similar with Islam. Like you got to believe that certain people, some of them could be your relatives, or not nice anything like that. But yeah, so it does feel a difficult one. And I suppose they say in Christianity, lean not on your own understanding. But then again, why believe in anything over another thing if that's the case? But I hope that makes sense. Moving on, number 6, because like I think like if you say lean not on your own understanding, like then I suppose anyone could say that and sort of sell you anything. I guess. I mean, I know some people say like they call the Bible, they say Bible, whatever, Bible, but I wouldn't dare say that. But I'm just saying what some people say. But anyway, moving on, number 6, I guess, as someone who doesn't like to work hard, like being in a world of hard work or whatever. And like I say, why is it that things that taste nice and feel good and are enjoyable seem to be bad for you and that kind of thing? But yeah, as someone who never wants to have to work hard, being in a world of hard work and that kind of thing. And I suppose again, thinking I'm trying not to put any religion above another, but I think most religions say to work hard. I was thinking like if even for an atheist, if you believe like if there was a greater God, if you say if there is or was a greater God. So yeah, these videos are thinking about if there is a greater God, as I say. But yeah, being born in a world of hard work and that kind of thing, and also like not having choices. Like I say, I mean, as people might say, you don't choose to be alive and that kind of thing. I guess I don't know how that would work, but again, if people want to have that choice, I think a lot better. Number 7. I guess for me, it's my own paranoia and all that kind of thing, worrying whether God's on my side. And also unanswered prayers, like I prayed for God to protect my paperwork. So if anyone tried to move my paperwork or stuff, they would fall over before they get to it and injure themselves enough, just enough to put them off. Although I suppose some people might argue you have too much of it or whatever. They might say it was being harsh, but yeah, I guess prayers I prayed for, like I prayed for God to protect my paperwork. I prayed for my favourite football teams to win or whatever. Now, some people might say God doesn't get involved in that, which is fair enough. I guess if God did everything for us, it would be a bit boring, I guess. But yeah, so I prayed for God to stop my cat from dying, but it didn't work. My prayer didn't work, so unanswered prayers and that kind of thing. Although you could say nature takes a course if God allows that nature and that kind of thing. That's it. At some point, again, and it's not the most cheery thing to think about, or whatever. But to be honest, I find living the harder part. To be honest with you, but yeah, I guess individuals might have their own reasons. Again, I'm hoping to do a more positive version tomorrow. I'm hoping to do the opposite tomorrow, but as it's Friday, I thought I'd talk about that. But yeah, my own paranoias in my case, and anxieties and insecurities and whatnot. And not help me to rest at the right times and whatever. Being born into a world of work and things like that. And I guess I think of like 6 and 7, like madness and that kind of thing. Again, I think that's a British thing, but you can Google that if you don't know what that means, like 6 and 7. So I think that means you're mad or indecisive or whatever, like me. but yeah, unanswered prayers, and I'm sure that's something else I'm saying, but I've completely forgotten. Which is really annoying. But I'm going to move on to number 8. Feeling sometimes I fear God is not on my side or hates me or things like that. And I guess I feel like, what if things seem like they're going right and then they go wrong? Like one I don't know if I should say this, but one paranoia I had at one point is, imagine if you would, like it from wow, didn't want to really imagine this, but it made me feel really paranoid. But yeah, I guess my lack of trust issues and all that kind of thing. But I thought, what if God made things feel really good for like hundreds of years, and then afterwards said it's just a trick, and then sent me to hell? So like, yeah. Anywho, but yeah, feeling God doesn't love me, or even hates me, or is not on my side, or whatever. Number 9, God not protecting my paperwork in my case, and again, unanswered prayers. And number 10, young and vulnerable people suffering and that kind of thing. Although, again, I suppose you could say God gives us free will. Anyway, that's probably a few things I forgot to say, but I'm going to wrap this up. So, peace and love, and I'm out.